Hello, welcome to the Snap UK. It's the first of our off-season podcasts. So the season's now over, but we're continuing because our lives are empty. With me today is Gilo, Griff, and Jim. Paul is he's in home in his nuclear bunker, worried about the threat of
his wife.
No
way to describe his wife.
But yeah.
But she can go nuclear.
Well,
I've been told.
I am not commenting any further on this.
It's pronounced nuclear.
But we'll start with the news because we're going to do our end of season awards. But yeah, firstly, the Combine. It's on. The people are going to turn up now because there was a threat that like 150 draft prospects were going to boycott it because of the COVID restrictions, the bubble. Effectively, they've changed their policies. It means that the agents can turn up now. Their own medical. I think they can bring our medical staff with them. I mean, it's just a nice reminder that COVID is still here.
Effectively, they tried to bring in some rules. 150 people got pissed off, and the NFL yeah, you're right, we don't pay you for this, so you've got absolutely no obligation to turn up whatsoever anyway. So, and the Combine is obviously, it's important more so to what they do off the field in terms of medicals and the interviews. On the field stuff, realistically, it just confirms what the scouts already know about the players. So it's an important TV moment for the NFL in a period where they haven't really got any content to show. So the 150 top prospects suddenly pull out. It's less of a TV moment for the NFL, and that's what it comes down to.
It's an entertainment business. But yeah, it doesn't make the Combine any more interesting. Really,
it's still pretty dull to watch.
It's pretty dull to watch. But yeah, it's fine when it's like reduced to Instagram and it's like 16 seconds long. But yeah, it is what it is.
I want to see that many people run 40 yards.
Exactly.
It's pretty dull.
I just want to see the fastest one, and then the fastest fat one.
Yeah.
And then I want to see the guy who can jump the furthest, and then I want to see the fat guy who can jump the furthest.
Fat guy who can jump the highest as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
And then it's the guy who can lift the most.
Even that's like pointless.
Oh, it's
absolutely pointless. Like the bench press is
that was the only test I won when we did that.
I know, but it's got no means on a player. Like
and I destroyed you all on that one.
Running back, obviously because they got shorter arms, they're going to be better at the bench press. Yeah, big
John's got tiny arms. He's terrible at bench pressing.
But he's also not a running back. Big guy, big tackle with long arms. Obviously, he's going to struggle.
Yeah, I will say I aced the jumping ones. Just to say, but yeah, nothing that involved arms. Okay, so the Rams had their victory parade. It was eventful in a couple of ways. The first one is it seems Sean McVay is not retiring, seemingly remembering that he's 36 and retiring to start a family is a premature decision at the moment.
When you haven't got a family.
When you haven't got a family.
Most of us go to work to get away from a family.
But how much sex was he planning on having that he needed to retire in order to have a family? Putting it into their evenings to get the job done.
He's 36, he's just won the Super Bowl. He could have a lot of sex. He's not married, is he?
I don't know. We're only a bit older than 36. And
Speak for yourself.
You're a fair bit older than 36. But I don't know. Just seems like a lot of time off to start a family. That's not necessary at all.
But yeah.
Like 30 seconds. That's all
maybe,
you need.
Maybe he's got issues we don't know about.
Are you saying successful, youthful-looking rich man Sean McVay
loves a Jaffa cake?
Yeah, has to sprint his thing in order to get it done.
Loves a Jaffa cake.
Karma is a bitch. Full head of hair of you. Oh, I see. Cock doesn't work.
Look, we're not saying that Sean McVay is seedless.
It would only be fair. It's God's way of balancing the power.
Is it time to move on?
We're 5 minutes in and it's gone down to the drains already.
Paul's not even here.
I know. But yeah, anyway, apart from Sean McVay's lazy sperm,
Alleged
labour.
Slower than feast mode.
Look, it may be that he's super active and all he can offer is like a pump and a squirt. I don't know.
He's probably still got that bloke behind him.
Yeah.
Directing him.
Oh, no, back from there.
This is get out, get in, get out,
That's
get in.
a
bloke.
strange pull-out method.
Did we look up that guy is actually the guy that the McVay Marshall was actually like a bit of a wrong un?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So
doesn't work there anymore, does it?
no. So
McVay's learned to control himself.
yeah, a private contract there. But coming back probably is Aaron Donald, which I think we all thought of last week. We all thought that was probably the base. It's apparently on the conditions that they bring back Von Miller and Odell Beckham Jr., which will...
They'll make it happen somehow.
I'm sure they will. No news on...
Beckham's knee's okay.
But that'll get a discount, won't it?
Yeah, it's
Only got to pay for one.
Injured reserve.
Yeah.
Andrew Whitworth, still no confirmation of his retirement.
He's retiring.
But, he's still got a year left on his deal, so he could carry on to still the oldest man in the NFL. Now that Brady has gone, but...
For now.
Well, yes.
Well, there's rumours.
There are rumours. We might get into it later.
Gary's shaking his head, looking very disappointed.
I'm not even
engaging in the
I
conversation.
can't even
Tom
get
ready,
that
get ready.
involved in it.
As well,
Do you know what the rumours might say though? That you
well,
might
we
be
might,
with?
Mo goes to the Niners.
Yeah, go to his
Not going
boyhood
to-
club.
Not going to the fucking Niners.
so
If he is, I'm buying a shirt so he gets injured immediately.
So it seems that the victory parade, it's now a time-honored tradition for the quarterback to get so pissed they do something stupid. Last year, Brady tried to throw the Vince Lombardi trophy into the lake.
He did throw it.
Well, and then this year, Matt Stafford watched as a woman fell off the grandstand.
He could have reacted in a
was he
slightly
meant
more
to do?
empathetic way.
Yeah.
But he didn't
He didn't push her, but
bump
yeah.
her off, did he? Like,
I'm not saying he did.
They're on a podium. What was 9-10 feet high, and he was in quite a safe position in the middle of the podium. I mean, funny, if I'm on a podium that high, I'm probably not skirting around the
she
edge.
needs to watch what she's doing.
Yeah, I think that's down on her.
Well, she really does because even though it turns out
she's been cancelled, hasn't she?
she's been well she's a race.
Turns out
she's
she's
been-
made a lot of very naughty tweets in the past. So,
She-
like I said earlier, karma is a bitch.
No, I think Kelly Smiley is a bitch because
really?
she quite likes the N word, like a lot.
Oh, I never read them.
They're quite
Racist.
racist. Lots of racist language. So
Just keep saying Nutella all the time.
no, much worse. But yeah, she fell from the stage, broke her camera and her back.
Two cameras,
two
apparently.
cameras, but one back.
The only way the image could have looked worse for Stafford is if he'd have just spat his beer out and openly
Yeah.
laughed.
Yeah.
Because it would look bad that he just turned away with on his face. But
His wife went out, didn't she?
no.
Yeah, she went out.
But equally, all of us would have spat our beers out and openly laughed because it was really funny.
And he was drunk at the time.
He was
Oh, he was so drunk.
I can barely control myself when I'm that drunk.
I mean, did you hear his interview? He was incredibly drunk.
Hammered.
But
Also, one more question. She's got two cameras and she was taking a picture of an iPhone.
well,
That's the modern human being for you right there.
I don't think he's vicariously liable for it, if I'm honest with you.
Of course he's not.
of course
He
he's
didn't do
not.
anything.
I didn't know he was bi-curious at all. He's married to a lovely woman.
he's probably really Christian, isn't he?
Probably.
They all are.
You said that with such
menace.
disdain.
Well,
Careful what you say.
I'm just saying.
You'll go the same way as Smiley if you do this.
I like the weeks we've got no games to talk about. It's very relaxed, isn't it?
So the NFL, XFL have reached an agreement. It's like a rule sharing principle, giving a petri dish to experiment with proposed rules, test new equipment, and develop prospective officials and coaches. The XFL president Russ Brandon has said XFL
In other words-
is restarting in 2023.
In other words, it's what the XFL or the AAF always should be, which is a feeder league for the NFL, where players who either didn't make it or have had to leave can go and come back, and the exchanges, the NFL get to try out all the rules they want to bring in for health and safety reasons or televisual reasons. They get somewhere to try them.
Absolutely agree with you, except they said we're not a feeder league for the NFL. They clearly are.
But you'd be better off just admitting
Yeah.
that you are. You know, minor league baseball has amazing viewing figures.
Yeah.
Because they just openly admit, right, we're affiliated with this team and we do this, and people go and watch it. The tickets are cheap, and the XFL or whatever else it's
Baseball
gonna be,
tickets are really cheap because
Yeah.
the game there's
There's a
just
billion
game
games.
every
Yeah,
day,
fine.
every single day.
I've never been. I'm just saying they'd be much better off just being a feeder league and being open about it. What's wrong with that? The
I'd be
NBA's
fine
got
with
the
that, yeah.
G League. Used to be the developmental league. I think it's called the G League now.
I'd be fine with that. I mean, there are examples of players who have been in feeder leagues before, NFL Europe famously, where Kurt Warner was.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's one example. I can't think of anything else off my head, but it works. And we always say that quarterbacks especially need game time to be...
We got William the Fridge Perry at the London Monarchs.
It is.
I'm really sad that
It is.
this is not a visual media because we have just had the joy of watching John had to get off his chair and stretch for something that was only slightly out of reach because his arms are so small, but no one else gets to share that experience.
Just go back to putting these on YouTube.
No, but all of the major sports except NFL have official feeder leagues.
Yeah.
The NHL, MLS even, which is not normally counted as one of the big four, they all have it. And the NFL should just have that because so many players drop through the system or people come out of college and never get an opportunity.
Yeah.
And think about how many people you must be missing just because they had a crap last year in college or they went a bit off the rails. And they probably could then be a contributor 2 years later, but you never get that chance.
Most teams start off the year with a roster of 90 odd players and it goes down to 50, 53, plus a few practice squad players. There's still hundreds of thousands of players there that are getting cut every year. So give them somewhere to go and
with
play.
With the
and
limited
prove
practice
themselves.
times now as well, you cannot tell me that someone like Dwayne Haskins wouldn't be better off playing a 16-game schedule in a
100%,
feeder
yeah.
league than he is
and
practicing for 90 minutes a day.
Most of the practice squads, you just have a B team in the XFL, and then you just bring them through, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be so much better.
Agreed.
The coaches as well.
Totally agree.
Absolutely.
And somewhere for the develop officials as well. I know they mention officials here, but there's nothing quite like the heat of a game day to kind of see what an official's made of. So, absolutely, it works for players.
I don't want to watch it, but it's good that it exists.
I watched it. I enjoyed the AAF.
Yeah.
Thought it was all right. Yeah. I mean, it was bad football to a degree, but it was better than no football.
And I agree. Yep.
It's like if there's only bad porn on, you're going to watch it as opposed to no porn.
I was going to say the same thing, but with non-league football. But
I would rather watch slightly ropey porn than non-league football.
But anyway, moving on. I've not put it on the running order, but just Phil should mention Flores has been hired by the Steelers as a defensive assistant and linebacker coach.
Yeah.
So it's good to see him.
Possibly the most overqualified assistant defensive coach in the league.
He's got a job, hasn't he?
He has, yeah.
Yeah. And
wow, look at that! No one wants to touch it with the barge pole. Well done, guys. Well done.
Well, we've gone from talking about porn to talking about
I had an argument with Perry about it at the weekend.
he was wrong.
There are conspiracy theories that but it only relies on a complete misunderstanding of what's going on.
I truly hope that he carries on with his attempt at suing the various clubs and people
and the NFL.
Yeah, that he's got an issue with, because otherwise it will lend credence to it's being swept under the rug and he's being paid off thing. Like he's being parked over there with the Steelers. If he is adamant that this has happened to him, why would you park this idea? You've got to keep
he's being paid $100,000 for every missed sack opportunity.
No, of course
I'm just saying, I understand he doesn't want to be shut out of the league, so taking a job is better than having no job because it keeps you in the right circle. But I really hope that if he truly believes that this has been an issue for him, which it certainly appears there is something up with this, because none of us had got Brian Flores down to be linebackers assistant with the Steelers, then I think he's got to carry it on, and it needs to be taken extremely seriously.
I think he's gone to probably the best franchise he possibly could do under the circumstances, and they're a respected franchise, they're a respected owners group, and I'm sure I think he will carry it on just because it's such an important issue. It's like a snowball running down the hill. We're halfway down the hill now. He's got other coaches involved. Other people have come out and said this happened to me as well. He's the one that started that, and I hope he does kind of carry on and see it through. But I would say he's gone to the Steelers and agreed a deal on the understanding that I'm going to carry this on.
Yeah.
You're a great franchise, Pittsburgh. This is nothing against you, but I've got to do this. And I'm,
it's probably actually a good thing that it's not a defensive coordinator or something. He can still concentrate on this litigation, and as well, if he does think maybe in a year I want to go back to being a head coach, it probably helps that you've been coaching TJ Watt for a year, because he will make you look very good.
Yeah, he's not going to make the Steelers look any worse, is he?
No. It's a respected defensive coach coming in to coach the best defensive player in the league. As well, Dan Snyder, the NFL have hired attorney Mary Jo White to look into misconduct against Dan Snyder. She was the lawyer who led the investigation into Jerry Richardson, which resulted in him selling the club back in 2017. For Dan Snyder, the allegations get more numerous, so it's something we'll probably have to keep an eye on. And from that fun bit of news, we'll go into our end of season awards. Yay!
Yay!
Oh yeah.
So
actually,
have you not got an appropriate sound on the board, or your selection of?
Which one should which one should we press?
This one.
We've had a whole season. He doesn't know which one's which.
Turquoise.
It was badum-tsh.
Well, not really what I was after, but no.
Close.
Laughter.
Yeah.
Okay.
End of season awards actually at the end of the season.
Actually, ended in the season.
What, I'm voting for them after all the games are finished.
Yeah.
So you can have like a proper view of the full season.
This is the bit where I now unveil that I have not looked at this at all and I haven't picked anyone, so I'm going to do it all on the fly.
That's fine.
I did this literally just before you arrived.
It's been a long week.
I've written mine as we're talking now.
Okay.
The only person who seems to have done any planning for this is Paul, and he didn't turn up. So,
can we just reiterate why he didn't turn up?
Because he
something about being stuck in a bunker.
Yeah. Some breaking news: the Chiefs have released Anthony Hitchens.
I could not care less.
Shame.
Shame. Save $8.4 million in cap space for them.
Which means they were overpaying by approximately $8.4 million.
Yeah, Nick Bolton's been a great linebacker addition for them. Yeah. Don't need him anymore.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to start off with the same awards as the Associated Press, seeing if we agree with them, and then we're going to add some of our own because the Associated Press probably doesn't want to go into like biggest dickhead. So, starting with them, MVP. Of course, the Associated Press went with Aaron Rodgers because they lack any imagination. So, let's go around the table.
So
I'll start.
You're not voting with Aaron Rodgers, then?
I'm not going for Aaron Rodgers. I've gone with Cooper Kupp because he was the league's best player.
Well, I'm completely agree with you there. Cooper Kupp for me as well.
I have actually gone with Josh Allen because I think he was the most valuable to his team. So, I think it was a real breakthrough year for Josh Allen as well. He started halfway through last year to really show this, and then he's kind of delivered. And yeah, Kupp's been amazing, but as a wide receiver, you still need someone to get that ball to you, don't you? So, I think Josh Allen, with his feet and his arm, his throwing accuracy has come on miles this year. So that was my choice.
Michael.
For similar reasons, I picked Joe Burrow. He is the most valuable player to that team, more valuable to that team than any other individual is to any other team.
Just the awards title's wrong.
The awards title is wrong.
Yeah.
I agree. Paul, because he doesn't have to answer to us, pick Brady because
the guy is 59 years old and just had the best season of his career.
Yeah.
He was second on my list.
he is brilliant. Luckily, we don't.
Nail this on. clip this bit. If he doesn't play for the Bucks next year, they don't have a hope in hell of reaching the playoffs.
Well, no.
So you subtract.
It depends who they bring in as a quarterback. But
I don't think it does because they're going to lose more than just him.
Well, we're going to get into this later. So, but yes.
If you subtract a particular player from a team and they can't make the playoffs, that player is in MVP contention, surely, because they are that valuable.
Never given an award to Brady.
So,
Shock.
offensive player of the year. Cup.
I didn't go with Cup because I went with MVP, but I went with Deebo Samuel.
I went with Deebo Samuel.
I went with Cooper Kupp.
Paul went with Cooper Kupp. So he is both our MVP and the offensive player of the year.
Which is fine.
fair.
I have no problem with
Yeah.
that. Absolutely none at all.
I mean, once again, we mentioned this last week. Would you split it into wide receiver of the year, running back of the year, or doing that? Does that mean then, like you can then, because then you're going, well, you'll have to have a cornerback of the year.
I think you have to have a separate award for quarterbacks, and then they are removed from the voting for everything else.
Yeah,
Because that's the only way to do it. You're either one of the best 10 quarterbacks or you're a quarterback. So you can vote for the best out of the top 10, and that's it. And then everybody else is open to have whatever awards they like. But there's no point having it any other way.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. Offensive rookie. Oh no, defensive player of the year. Sorry, defensive player of the year. Sod the defense. Let's go. Just carry on with the offense. No, defensive player of the year. I've gone with TJ Watt.
Yeah, same.
I've gone with Aaron Donald.
And I have also gone with Aaron Donald because in the end, he's the reason that they sewn up the Super Bowl.
And that is exactly the reason I picked Aaron Donald.
Because that was why we waited till the end of the season. So Aaron Donald.
Yeah, no, he played
And was that his like 57th Defensive Player of the Year award?
Something like that.
Yeah,
Well, unfortunately, Paul went with TJ Watt, so TJ Watt wins.
A season worth of.
Yeah, but Donald played well all season,
Played
and
right.
then when he really needed to step up, he was there.
Yeah, he was. He had a good game.
We lost
Good
the
second
debate,
half.
Gary. We lost the debate 3-2. But yes,
Dig up.
If you had to choose who to build your team around, would you still go TJ Watt?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's younger.
Just yeah,
Not threatening to retire.
he's not going anywhere.
Look, Aaron Donald is a world-class player. He'll be in the Hall of Fame 5 years after he gives up. So either TJ Watt or Aaron Donald are good votes on this.
Cool. So yeah, now offensive rookie of the year.
Everyone's got the same answer to this.
I
I'm
would have
sure.
thought so, yeah.
Evan McPherson.
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase. I know.
Jamar Chase. Yeah.
yeah, Jamar Chase.
There's just no.
I genuinely did want to go with Evan McPherson. but I'm trying to be sensible. Paul's not here. I assume Paul did pick a kicker.
Paul has picked Jamar Chase. He's actually his picks are quite sensible, other than Brady.
If you're listening, Paul, how
Even
disappointed-
Brady's sensible. It's just we don't want to see it.
I think we have to. We need the old Paul back by the time we do our mock draft.
I'm sure.
I'm sure it will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just because he's not here, so he can't.
I just miss that element of chaos that he brings. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is this player available?
So we've gone from a dead cert here. I think the next one might also be a dead cert. Defensive rookie of the year. Has anyone gone with anything other than Micah Parsons?
No.
No, couldn't see beyond him for me.
No,
He
same.
was ridiculously good, wasn't he?
He was brilliant. Yeah.
Why did they take him? Like 11th or something?
Yeah, I think it was 11th.
Yeah.
That's just
11th,
mad.
12th.
And he wanted to go to the Cowboys, didn't he? But I know there was a lot of dialogue between them.
I mean, it's
but,
not. I don't think it's mad because lots of times off the ball linebackers go a bit later.
He's not just a linebacker.
No,
he
but
is everything.
He is now, and people know that. But I don't think people knew he could be as good an edge rusher as he turned out to be.
Yeah. Yeah, just brilliant. Once again, another one. Comeback player of the year.
I want to hear Paul's first.
Joe Burrow.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
he
thought
would-
he might still be just
Derwin
going.
James.
He would've gone with Derwin.
James.
Yeah, no, I think because he's not here to argue it, he has gone with Joe Burrow.
You've got to go with Joe Burrow. Haven't you?
I also
I-
Joe Burrow.
I expected at least one vote from
Nick
for
Bosa.
Nick Bosa.
I wrote down Joe Burrow, run closely by Nick Bosa.
Michael?
Well, I think you're all wrong. I've picked Alex Smith for the second year running because he deserves 2 awards for that comeback.
I mean, it should be the Alex Smith comeback year player.
It really should be.
But actually, that
Comeback
is
year.
still unfair because actually, that brings him just bound to a quarterback who had a busted leg and came back. And he was a good player in his career. But the comeback was so good, wasn't it?
It really was.
But yeah. Okay. Coach of the year. Paul's gone with Vrabel.
I also went with Vrabel.
Griff?
Well, I was torn.
I'll tell you what, I bet he doesn't go for Zach Taylor.
I did not go for Zach Taylor. I was brutally torn between Mike Vrabel and Brian Flores, and this is not a joke, because Brian Flores had an outstanding season with a quarterback he didn't want, really, and he turned around that Dolphins team. Bearing in mind how absolutely diabolical they were for the first 7 weeks of the season, and so they were the first team to lose 7 in a row and win 7 in a row. Ultimately, I've gone for Mike Vrabel, but I had Brian Flores second. I really honestly did. Thought he was outstanding second half of the year.
So Gary's got a look of mischief in his eye.
I think he just needs a wee.
So I've gone
I think it's gas.
I've gone for Zach Taylor.
What a prick.
So you can't say that, Brian Flores, quarterback he doesn't want, turned the Dolphins around to not get in the playoffs. Coach of the year. Not qualifying for the playoffs, coach of the year, Brian Flores.
Make him coach of the year.
I'm just saying. Zach Taylor, led that organisation to go from the 4th or 5th worst team last year to the Super Bowl. Now, he reintegrated, Joe Burrow, and you can't argue with that. You just can't.
Michael, do you want to argue with that?
When I wrote it down, I was giggling.
Because you'd remember that to write.
Because last week I just knew you were going to be funny.
Zach Taylor would have got my vote if Mike Vrabel hadn't had such a good year for the Titans.
And I had him down at the start of the season to be the first coach sacked.
Yeah, exactly.
So he surprised me the most, but it's not my most unexpected moment.
I go with regular season Matt LaFleur.
Oh, what the fuck does that count?
I think one of his star players was brilliant, but also a massive interruption, and the fact that
Him and
they've
Aaron
won.
Rodgers just walking around with the same chokers on. Honestly.
What?
I said just choke every playoff.
Yeah. But yeah.
Do you mean to explain it, John?
No, I wasn't. Anyway, moment of the year. So Mike Vrabel is our coach of the year. Despite strong contest from Matt LaFleur and Zach Taylor and Brian Flores. So, moment of the year. Anyone's gonna?
Are we going positive moment or
it can be positive. In
disappointing moment?
We're I think for the Associated Press,
Made me laugh.
Associated Press are going to go with a positive moment. Which
I've gone with Brady confirming his retirement.
Paul,
and I mean every moment of that.
Paul went with 49ers beating the Packers in the playoffs because he thought it was funny.
That was funny. I've got a few. I went with Carson Wentz spraining both ankles and carrying on playing.
Nice.
I like that. The Saints beating the Bucks 9-0 because it just made me chuckle.
That was particularly good.
A great game. And I also wrote anything to do with Urban Meyer
Yeah.
because that was all just funny in the end.
Michael?
Well, I had a couple of moments. A sensible one. The emergence for at least one decent game of Mike White at quarterback for the Jets, which, let's be honest, was heroic.
Yeah.
And then I had Urban Meyer being provocatively danced upon. So take your pick out of those two.
I got the Lions winning a game.
Yeah.
But
I literally
in all fairness,
I
though,
still
don't
couldn't give
give
a
a
shit.
third on my list was them tying a game before they won a game, because that was so Lions. It was a brilliant moment.
There was like 3 or 4 games that they lost by the last kick of the game as well, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Including a 62-yarder.
Which actually got moment of the year. From
The moment of the year
Yeah.
was Justin Tucker.
Ah.
But yeah, the moment of the NFL season 2021 is Urban Meyer feeling groping a woman in a bar.
Absolutely. That sums up the NFL.
Welcome to Griff's world.
Sums up our podcast.
There's anyone that got multiple mentions. So yeah. Okay, this is where we're deviating from the Associated Press. Most disappointing team of the year.
I went with the Cleveland Browns.
I also went with the Cleveland Browns.
And I also have picked the Cleveland Browns. I don't think it was even much of a contentious decision.
Especially after 2020, it was such a good season.
Yeah.
When you looked at their roster, their defense in particular, them not getting anywhere, just disgraceful.
Paul's went with the Giants because, of course, he did. And I went with the
expected that.
Yeah, I went with the
They
Chargers.
didn't. Like, Paul still needs to pay
Yes,
up.
Oh, yeah, he does,
Chargers I thought was a great shout, and because they didn't make the playoffs, they were right up there for me. As
Yeah,
the most
but then I went with the Chargers because I forgot about the Browns.
Yeah.
So
Colts
Cle-
as well.
yeah.
Yeah, but they never had a quarterback.
The thing with the Chargers is, I still think if they'd have got to the playoffs, I think they have the same story
Could've done
as the
the Bengals.
Bengals.
Yeah, true.
And I think they might win. It's really disappointing for the players they've got. But yeah, well done, Browns. You disappointed us the most. And most disappointing player.
Playoff Aaron Rodgers.
Nice.
Lovely.
I've gone with Julio.
Yeah, I went with Trevor Lawrence.
And I also went with Trevor Lawrence. And this is where we get a little bit of flack on this show for being harsh on rookie quarterbacks. But come on, man. He had 2 good quarters all season.
I only went for playoff Aaron Rodgers because I thought Dunk might be listening.
It's a fair shout, though. I mean, I don't think it's all on him that he was terrible.
No, of course it's not. We know this. But he got outshone by...
Yeah, he came in with so much hype and being the next great big quarterback, best quarterback coming out of the draft.
This is the bit that rounded it for me. You would struggle to tell me that Geno Smith didn't look better this season than Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, that's fair.
Paul went with Paul old Zach Wilson.
Yeah, and for the same reason.
Yeah.
Poor franchise, you're going to look bad.
Just, yeah. But yeah, so Trevor Lawrence, we expect more next year. So other awards we've had no mentioned. Biggest dickhead of the season.
I got it down to 2. Henry Ruggs or Antonio Brown. For very different reasons, of course.
I've also got it down to 2, and that's Urban Meyer and Antonio Brown.
I just went straight up Antonio Brown. Because Urban Meyer's useless, but Antonio Brown's a dickhead.
I had Aaron Rodgers and Antonio Brown. Paul went with Aaron Rodgers. So Antonio Brown, welcome. You are the biggest dickhead of the year.
I reckon he could win it next year as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a new award, but we might go back and, retrospectively
It'll just be known
award
as
them.
the Antonio Brown Award, like the old Eric Ebron participation.
Antonio
award.
Brown definitely gets it for the year. He was at the Raiders as well.
Yes. Oh, God, yeah. Most unexpected, was it moment of the year?
Well, I went most unexpected thing that happened.
Most unexpected thing
I
of
went
the
with
year.
The Jags beating the Bills.
I wrote it down wrong. I wrote most unlikely thing of the year, but
It's the same thing.
Similar thing.
I had the Jake Fromm 9-yard quarterback sneak for the Giants, which was the most unlikely thing ever to succeed or happen.
That should be moment of the year.
That was just the worst. That was the lowest point in Giants franchise history right there.
It actually was as well.
Really is.
I couldn't think of anything because I don't live in the past.
I went with the Bengals being good.
Yeah, that's a fair.
Bengals making the Super Bowl is a great shout.
Yeah.
Now you're
John, I
going
will
to say.
say that as well. So
Now you're going to say what's the most likely thing. I'm going to say Gary not having something from the past because he refuses to live it.
Paul went with the Dolphins' almost symmetrical season.
Yeah, true.
So, we'll give that to the Bengals because, why not? Most expected thing of the year.
I've got a good one. Mahomes' fiance being a complete dick.
And his brother, to be fair.
I didn't really follow this social rubbish, so I couldn't tell you. I don't know who she is.
Well, she was like spraying champagne all over the Bills fans and stuff. She's just a complete
I have
fucking
no
bell.
idea.
Hasn't he's asked them not to be
Not
on the
to
sideline,
attend next
not to
season,
attend next
yeah.
season.
She's,
that's gone
I've no
well.
idea. I don't
she's
know
a
who.
complete idiot
Oh,
and has always been a complete idiot.
I think his brother's worse, though.
Yeah. You can just group them all in. But it was
Yeah.
expected they were going to be idiots.
Fair play to him, though, if he has told them not to do that shit anymore.
Oh, and I had one more. Rodgers choking in the playoffs.
That's predictable. I had Tom Brady having his best statistical season because I did predict
you
it.
did actually predict it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
why didn't I say the Rams would win the Super Bowl?
He had the perfect chance to mention it, and he choked like a pack of players.
Good old Aaron Rodgers.
I went with Urban Meyer being fired because
Yeah,
I
I thought you'd
predicted
want
that.
Yeah, I think that was fair. I went with Matt Stafford getting the Rams to the Super Bowl because I said there was a very good chance he would do that. But I also went with Mike Glennon being predictably shit. Because who thought that would work? I managed to get both Giants quarterbacks in here.
Yeah, surprised nobody had Gary mentioning that he predicted the Rams would win the Super Bowl.
Paul went with the Jags being shit.
I mean, it's always
So
gonna
well
Jags and
done,
Jags.
well done, Jags. You are the most expected. You being shit was the most expected thing this year. Fantasy Player of the Year.
I'm not qualified to comment on.
Well, he's won 2 awards. I'm going to give him another one. Cooper Cup.
Mine is Mark Andrews.
I've gone with the Dallas defense.
I'm genuinely not offering an opinion.
Paul
I'm
went with
so
Justin
bad.
Jefferson,
enough.
who has been brilliant. So
I have to abstain.
Mark Andrews
But
did
no,
well all season, top scoring fantasy tight end, and he had like a variety of quarterbacks.
True.
the Cowboys' defense was just like 20 points a week. It was defense.
It was good, yeah.
It was brilliant. You have abstained, but you can pick the winner. So Justin Jefferson, Cooper Cup, the
Mark
Cowboys, or Mark Andrews.
I will take Cooper Cup.
Well done,
the
Cooper
right
Cup.
answer.
You've won the Fantasy Player of the Year.
Mainly because this is the first year I didn't have him in my fantasy team. And imagine if I had
Did you
done.
trade him away?
No,
No.
I tried to trade him away.
No, I didn't. I should have done, but I didn't.
Biggest mistake I didn't make.
Is it, any more awards for anyone? Anyone got any? Michael, have you got any awards you'd like
I do,
to add?
yeah. I mean,
Go on.
you edit this podcast, don't you? So it'll be fine.
I do not.
Here we
The
go.
worst hire since the police employed Dennis Nilsson in 1973 award goes to
Urban Meyer, sure.
Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
Absolutely well done. Crowd goes wild.
You have got a crowd noise.
The operation.
No, that's the wah, wah.
Oh, that's a good one as well. Is it the red one?
I love that after a full season you still don't know the buttons. Crowd.
Yellow is applause.
Get the beat button ready. The Operation U Tree Award for information you'd most like to remain hidden. Gruden, well done. Come on down. And finally, before Gary falls off his chair, you'll like this one though. The biggest choke job since your mum at a frat party. Aaron Rodgers. Yep.
Okay.
There might just be a big gap in the podcast now where nobody's been able to listen to the last 3 awards. Who knows?
No, I'll stick them in.
That's
They
what
are-
your mum said.
Oh, come on. Let's leave the mums out of this.
It's got a real end of season feel.
It has,
doesn't
really
it?
does. We're going to come. We'll take a break and we'll come back and we'll go on what's coming up for the rest of the season. Well,
Off
off-season. Support for the Snap UK is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped recently launched the ultimate men's hygiene bundle, the Performance Package. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code THESNAP. The Performance Package 4.0 by Manscaped has arrived, and oh man, it's a game changer. Inside this package you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold all your goodies. So now the NFL season is over, we've got 7 months getting back out in the world. So find your confidence with Manscaped and look after your balls. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code THESNAP at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code THESNAP. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Welcome back. So this part's going to be, we're going to go over what's coming up in the off-season. So franchise tag starts from today. The teams now have until the 8th of March to get their franchise tags sorted. Combine starts on the 1st of March. These are all, we'll cover the franchise tags and we won't cover the Combine because
It's boring.
it's boring as fuck.
If they televise the interviews, that could be interesting.
That's what I'd love to see. Because
I don't think the NFL are going to be televising
they're never
any
going to televise
interviews
that.
anytime soon,
No.
based on some current lawsuits going on.
yeah. Oh god, yeah. But
Also, some of the questions that people get asked are really random
yeah.
And potentially racist.
and potentially racist, yes.
Yes. And free
Slash
agency.
homophobic.
Free agency has now started. Since the season's over. So we're going to go through some players, and we're going to work out. Well, see if they are worth franchise tagging, or we can pick out some potential landing spots.
I've got the tag salary values here, just for reference as well.
As
Find
well,
out what they get paid.
As well, we also have some players who may be being traded. So let's start with the ones that have been mentioned basically all season. So, let's say this once and for all. Aaron Rodgers, where is Aaron Rodgers going to be next season?
Retired.
Clearly in Green Bay.
I think Green Bay.
And do you know why? Because the Packers aren't going to trade him to anyone else in the NFC. They will not trade him within the conference that they've got to play him, which means he's got to go to the AFC, which means that is where all the good young quarterbacks are. He would be stupid to go to the AFC, so he'll stay at the Packers.
Yeah, but there's probably two teams in the AFC who need quarterbacks who, if they got a quarterback, would probably be a Super Bowl.
He already can't get to the Super Bowl in the NFC. He's not going to get there in the AFC.
Is that on him or is it on Zach Taylor? Not Zach
A
Taylor.
large part of it is on him.
It's not Zach Taylor at all.
While
but
we're
Matt
on this,
LaFleur.
and I don't often like to lend weight to Gary's arguments, but why does he not get the same criticisms about the playoffs that Peyton Manning used to get? Because he is now officially shitter at this than Peyton Manning. And I don't get it.
Because he's Aaron Rodgers and the media daren't say anything bad about
but
him.
Peyton Manning was the regular season star always. And now it's Aaron Rodgers. But Peyton used to cop flack every year for the playoffs.
And he used to play some better teams than what...
They used to come up against the Patriots when they were in their pomp every year.
Yeah.
And I do not get it. Like, Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback, but every year that he plays now and doesn't win another Super Bowl, his status is getting diminished. It's not going to get better. Great, you're putting up more regular season stats against the Bears and the Lions. Well done.
He owns the Bear, but he only has one ring.
And that's my point. Like, I get it. He is a great player, but he's not doing anything for himself now unless he wins it all again. And this was kind of the thing on Peyton, like, oh no, he's got one less ring than Eli, and whatever you like. But ultimately, Peyton Manning went out on a high, and you get the feeling Aaron Rodgers is in danger of going out on a low at some point.
Some sort of a whimper.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. It's a good analogy.
He's heartbroken in multiple ways, isn't he? You know, his fiance's left him.
So he can't even get that ring.
His dream of a second Super Bowl's left him. His dream of beating the Niners in the playoffs has left him. You know,
He's got hair like the White Walkers from Game of Thrones.
He's got a fantastic beard as well.
He hasn't even got the Jeopardy job.
No.
Has he not?
No, it went to someone else, didn't it? I can't remember who, but yeah.
Because he didn't take
it. went to someone else,
right.
And then they got fired, and it went to someone else after that. So,
they fired someone already?
Yeah. But,
There's some dodgy tweets, I think.
Yes.
Oh, for
I don't know.
crying out loud.
Obviously,
I reiterate, this is why I do not have Twitter, because you can easily trip yourself up.
Roger's been tweeting out, hasn't he, statements today.
Yeah.
You know, kind of
There was a statement
showing his gratitude
on Instagram where he thanked everyone, and it's like, yeah, really great to play with Devontae Adams and Randall Cobb. And the picture on the ground was also of just Devontae Adams and Randall Cobb. He was missing, which people are reading far too much into.
I really wouldn't be surprised if he retired.
I think he might retire. I mean, like, he's 39 now?
Yeah, 38 going on 39.
Yeah, so obviously Brady kind of set the standard for, like, yes, quarterbacks can play into their 40s, but most don't.
Oh, yeah.
Like, most sportsmen don't play that long.
But most players get to that age, if they're lucky, they get to that age and realise that they can't do it anymore. Aaron Rodgers still thinks he can win it all because technically his talent
He's the MVP.
He could. So he's got no reason to retire other than, I don't want to play for Green Bay.
I think he thought he was going to win the Super Bowl this year.
So do I.
And,
absolutely.
And I think he knows that some of that sits with him. You know, a lot of it sits with him.
A lot of it sits with
because
him.
he didn't look to any other receivers. You know, and I don't know. He either has to start somewhere fresh or he retires. You know, if he stays, I'm not sure they'll have as good an opportunity again next year.
I feel he's got this, like, he has this reputation of not throwing many interceptions at all. And I feel that almost plays on him, that I can't throw an interception because I'm Aaron Rodgers. Whereas, like, you look at Matt Stafford and Joe Burrow, throw an interception, fuck it, yeah, all right, get on the next drive.
I absolutely agree.
He's almost scared.
He becomes very conservative.
He's very conservative.
Does he need to bring out his inner Jimmy G?
He almost does, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
But I think, be afraid to make...
Not
be afraid to make a mistake.
Yeah, Matt Stafford led the league in interceptions this year. and then wins the Super Bowl.
And that plays back to my analogy I made with Matt Stafford, which is he's like Brett Favre, which is I will throw and throw and throw and throw, and eventually I will score. And you might pick me off, but I will score. And Aaron Rodgers scores a lot of touchdowns and not a lot of picks, but when it comes to crunch time, he only wants to throw to Devontae Adams. He's not willing to take a risk. And you cannot win in this league if you're not willing to take a risk, because everyone's too closely matched.
Yeah, completely agree.
Okay, Russell Wilson. Where do we see Russell Wilson next year?
I think he'll be at the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think
he's not going anywhere.
Same. I don't want him to be. I think he's too good to be at a Seahawks that are dwindling.
I think there was a lot of hoo-ha last year about him going to another team, but there's been nothing this year.
You know, the problem with this is I'm less interested. I'm not sure he's as good now as at his peak. I don't know if he's
35 now, I think.
Okay,
Sneaky
I don't think it's necessarily an age thing. I think it's just
it's
just
taken
he
into account,
having played in the league for so long. He wants things done a certain way. I think he's got a particular, and it's not necessarily a bad attitude, but I think he's got a particular attitude. So I don't see that he goes to another franchise and is the Matt Stafford. Yeah. Like, I just not sure that that's him anymore. And that might just be because I've just seen him have his worst season on a terrible Seahawks team. But at the start of the season we've just had, I said if you put Russell Wilson in the Giants would make it into the playoffs. And I'm just not sure that that's true now.
I don't know. I think he's still easily a top 10 quarterback, and I think he's extremely talented and great at moving the pocket. He was injured for a big part of this season, and in a faltering Seahawks team in a very tough division. I still think he's easily a top 10 quarterback. If somebody could get him, I think the thing is, like for the Giants, so they were spoke about a lot, especially by people on this podcast, because it felt like a great fit. But, Wilson only moves if he moves to someone that's win now, because he is 35. Otherwise, there's no point. Yeah. There's no point in joining a rebuild. So the only people that should be looking at him and the only people he should look at are people like the Broncos if nobody else is going to go there.
That's my question.
And that's the thing,
is effectively, where are the Broncos going to go? And here's the next one I'm going to bring up, because even though he has 22 allegations against him, he keeps coming up. Deshaun Watson.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Paul.
No, he's got more allegations than some workers. But where does Deshaun Watson go next year?
Well, I think, wherever him and his friend Prince Andrew decide to holiday, then after that,
I gather the Epstein mansion is empty.
So he's got to work out, maybe some advice from his mate Andy, how he managed to pay it all off and sort it out. So if he can settle them, then it moves on, doesn't it?
Is our taxpayers' money going to be going towards Deshaun Watson's defence now?
I hope not.
But
I think one of the key dates in his legal case is the 1st of April. And after that date, it's whether they're going to charge him criminally or not. Before that, he could try to settle it in civil case. And I don't think any team touches Deshaun Watson unless there's a clear view on what's going to happen legally.
A clear view, a clear STI check. Otherwise no one's going to touch him at all, are they?
I agree entirely. I think he's going to lose 2 years minimum out of his career through this, and maybe if things go a certain way, he's going to lose his entire career out of this. And it's a shame.
His freedom.
Yeah,
like on the field, he's brilliant.
It's amazing how he's followed the example of Robert Kraft, but ended up with a completely different, outcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just a bit of a.
Are you suggesting you need to be old, rich, and white
to get away with stuff?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Well, didn't Robert Kraft just attend a massage parlour? I think Deshaun Watson.
We'll never know.
Deshaun Watson has been a bit naughtier than that.
Yeah, I believe the point was Robert Kraft was paying for legal services. It was just a bit smutty.
It's smutty for a guy who's worth billions to be going to Florida to get tugged off.
If you were worth billions, I'm just saying, you'd be getting tugged off in every town going, wouldn't you?
I mean, I'm not worth billions, and
it's a moot point, then, isn't it?
It's a moot point. Okay, we mentioned it last week. Kyler Murray. It seems
staying with the Cubs.
It seems. I think he's staying, but
I think they'll pay him as well if they can.
Have to pay him. we've just been through 3 quarterbacks who might or might not move. We're going to talk about the draft in a minute, where there's no good quarterbacks. Realistically, the top quarterback option for a trade is Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
And, don't forget, it's a home Super Bowl for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
So you've got to try and win now, haven't you?
Yeah,
Or-
absolutely. With that roster as well.
Or do they let him go to Major League Baseball and bring in Carson Wentz? Because he's probably going to be available.
No.
Carson Wentz, anyone see him at the Colts next year?
Yep.
Yep, I can see him at the Colts next year.
Costs too much to get rid of.
I think they will get rid of him.
I know they've got a lot of
It's
cap
not
space.
even that it costs too much. It's unless you're making an obvious upgrade.
Yeah.
If you look at his numbers,
No, I completely
his
agree
numbers
with
were fine. He had a meltdown towards the end of the season where he didn't play well.
The whole team, though, did, didn't
Yeah, but in the middle of the year, at times in games where they were struggling otherwise, he was actually very good.
Completely agree.
I think another year in the system, a year where he's not hobbled by 2 broken ankles at some point. And I am not a Carson Wentz defender, but who's the upgrade?
I completely
They
agree.
just had
There is
Philip.
there
They've
is
had
no
Philip
upgrade.
Rivers, Jacoby Brissett,
Keenum.
Sam Ellinger.
Sam Ellinger.
Keenum.
Did they have Keenum?
No.
Keenum was at the Broncos. Sorry.
Broncos. They had somebody else start for them as well over the last couple of years.
Brian Hoyer.
Don't know. No, it wasn't.
Probably.
I think
It was somebody else terrible. And I don't know. He's the best one of the lot.
I agree with you. I don't like the noises coming out of Indianapolis about it. And
Yeah.
for that reason, I think that they are going to get rid of him. And it won't be for an upgrade. It will be for someone to hold the seat until next year when they can get a decent quarterback. Why, I don't know.
Jameis, he's a free agent. Where do we see? Well, for one, do we see him at the Saints?
Sorry. What?
You might want to check your salary cap
Sheet.
list here. Do we see Jameis being
I owe
brought
you an
back?
apology. It was Brian Hoyer.
Was it Brian Hoyer? Bloody
Yeah,
hell.
in 2019, Jacoby Brissett and Brian Hoyer were the 2 starters for the Colts.
Yeah. So I think Jameis would probably be looking at about 7 million. Do the Saints have the ability to remove 82 million? Plus, of course, you then need to lose another 14 million for your draft class. So do they have the ability to lose 100 million from their
What's
salary
the
cap?
alternative if they don't pay Jameis?
Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill,
Ian Book.
Ian Book,
Well, okay, so can we agree
Just
that Ian
Wildcat.
Book is not an alternative?
Wildcat to Alvin Kamara.
I think they might start Taysom Hill next season.
Yeah.
Because I think they're tied to him.
I think that's all they've got. Yeah.
And I genuinely think Taysom Hill and Ian Book might be the 2 quarterbacks next season.
Sean
Okay.
Payton.
He did,
You know,
did the
like-
right thing.
Well,
Yeah.
no, he didn't. He did the wrong thing.
We did the wrong thing previously.
He's
but-
basically Harry Redknapp.
yes.
I've never thought about it that way before, but basically, he goes in, he has 15 years of success. But as he
leaves,
he
he
ruins the franchise.
search and destroy.
I'd have said if you were going to do that, you wanted to go with like Bill O'Brien. Like he had a few years of success and then just fucked off and left the team in flames.
So, and to finish off the quarterbacks, I only mentioned it because
Don't mention the phrase finishing off quarterbacks.
I only mentioned it because I saw a lot of Twitter gossip about it. Tom Brady, could he be going back to the 49ers?
No.
I don't see it either, but it's
Back, he's
Twitter.
never been there.
Well, back. He's a San Francisco boy, isn't he?
He is a 49ers supporter.
He's a 49 supporter. So these are some of the biggest free agents coming up. Do you see them getting franchise tagged? Do we see them moving on? If they're moving on, where would be a good fit? So Devontae Adams is the biggest named free agent available. Do we see him staying at Green Bay or do we see him moving on?
He's getting tagged. I don't think he's going to agree a deal, and they're not going to want to see him walk out the door for nothing. So
Would he sit?
if Rodgers leaves, yeah, I think he probably would. He said he's not going to sign a new deal if Rodgers isn't there because he's a bit of a wuss. So they tag him, they perhaps trade him.
I think if they tag him, he sits.
I think
He said
exactly the
he's
same.
not. He said he's not paying for cheap.
Well, the tag is 18.5 million for a wide receiver.
I think he wants more.
well, once they give him that, he's well within his rights to ask for more. You're not going to take less, are you?
Chandler Jones, edge rusher for the Cardinals. He is free agent. Do we see him?
I'd probably dump him now.
I think, let him walk now. I think he's had his best years.
He's coming for his last contract, and you could overpay. Let one of the bad teams overpay for him and let him go. Pick someone in the draft.
As an aging player of once of glory, is the thing that worries him the fact that that's the type of player the Cardinals go for? So
I think he might end up at the Texans or somewhere.
Yeah.
They go and get players like them, don't they?
yeah, a jet. Okay, J.C. Jackson, cornerback for the Patriots. One of the statistically one of the best cornerbacks in the league, like a pick machine. Do we see him moving on? Do we see him getting tagged?
I think they'll try and keep him, but I think they'll try and keep him without tagging him. I think they'll try and persuade him not to do that. I don't know if they can be successful in that.
You've got a surprisingly low cap space, haven't you?
Yeah.
Considering you've got a rookie quarterback.
I think the cap space. The
quite
cap
right.
space is a useful record, but there's ways around it. Like
I know, I'm just saying generally that
but
it's
there's
quite
Well,
surprising.
they paid a lot of money to a lot of free agents
Yeah.
last off season, didn't they?
Yeah.
You went out and got a load of tight
Yeah.
ends that didn't get you very far.
Yeah, that's
And
very
Matt
true.
Judon.
Yeah, who started off hot and then didn't
No, he
get
was
us that
good.
far.
He was
He's been good.
That was good.
Bad sleeves.
Just
but he
didn't,
was good.
didn't like his sleeves.
Yeah.
I think they'll desperately try and hang on to him, but it'll be tricky. But he is, when you think that we let Gilmore leave, and everyone went, ooh, and Jackson was every bit as good as Pete Gilmore.
Yeah.
The Niners should just get rid of Garoppolo and bring him straight in.
Well, he's further down the list, but Gilmore,
Yeah,
cornerback for the Panthers. He was traded, but I think when the Panthers thought they might have a chance of,
They were looking good at that point. They
yeah.
were looking.
they were looking better than
They were
the
playing bad teams, you mean?
bin fire.
Yeah,
at
they
the
were
end.
looking good against bad teams.
The defense to start this season was
But
great.
They played terrible teams,
yeah,
didn't
they
they?
bought-
It's the
Yeah, yeah.
same as the Dolphins. They played terrible teams, they won, you know.
They brought in Gilmore because they had an issue with cornerbacks. I think
Yeah.
they selected JC Horn in the first round last year and he got injured. So Gilmore will go. He'll be on the open market. That could be a pickup for the 49ers.
An aging cornerback.
Yeah,
That sounds just like the type we
that's
like.
what the 49ers do.
So, back up the list, Mike Williams from the Chargers.
He'll get tagged, I'd have thought. He's had a really good season.
I agree.
Maybe not tagged, they probably get a deal. He's had a good year.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I completely agree. They should try. I don't think he'll get tagged. So Keenan Allen's the number one.
Yeah. He'll go full.
I think he can get number one money elsewhere.
Somewhere else, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that means he goes.
He went full Adebayor, didn't he, last season? Contract year.
Yes.
He was good in patches. Like
he was the
Keenan
best
Allen
he's
is
been.
the number one,
Yeah.
but I don't like. He's gonna.
Is he somebody else's number one? Is he good enough?
I think so. He was first round pick, wasn't he? And he's big as well.
I think if Robbie Anderson is a number one somewhere,
he's true.
Mike
No,
Williams
Robbie
can be a
Anderson's
number.
not a number one.
He is.
Well, he is paid as one.
Yeah.
That is
And he can't catch a ball.
He goes into a contract negotiation. He gives just a pitch. Robbie Anderson goes, I'm better than this, and he's on 17 million a year. And they go, that's true. That's true. Would you like 17.5 million then, please? Because you're not that good. But yeah, I see him going on. Armstead, the tackle from the Saints. I guess we see him not at the Saints.
I think if they can do some cap gymnastics, then yeah, they obviously keep him because you don't let left tackles walk out the door unless you're the Texans.
Jesus, John and his massive head have less struggles with caps than the Saints. They got no chance.
No chance.
I know.
On that basis, Marcus Williams, the safety from the Saints.
No.
No, he's gone.
Although, capping a safety is pretty cheap.
Not that cheap. they earn money.
You don't get negative money.
He's got to pay to
They're
stay.
like the Barcelona of the NFL.
Orlando Brown, the tackle from the Chiefs.
100% is going to get capped.
Yep.
Yep.
Tagged, sorry.
agree.
Tagged.
Jim's just walking around like a gangster, capping people.
Is that how
No,
gangsters do it?
There'll be no kneecaps left in the
Like-
NFL.
Like
This
a
is
niche 60s
Been watching lots of Ozark recently.
like
camp.
in Brayfield of the Green. That's how the gangsters work.
Yeah. Alan Robinson, wide receiver from the Bears.
Oh, he's gone.
yeah,
He's gone.
because it's going to be a second year.
His career's gone.
Oh, yeah.
He's nothing.
Do you know what? I think he might be better off just going back to the Jags where he
Yeah,
started
I would
off
have also.
and just saying, like, bring me in on a hometown deal and let's see if I can be good for Trevor
I don't
Lawrence.
think he needs to have a hometown.
No,
deal.
he could get
I don't think
a
he's
He's
half-
not going to get mega money.
He's not going to get massive money, but I don't think he's still a good receiver, and he's been a good receiver with bad
How
quarterbacks.
old is
He's
that?
not a good receiver.
Alan
He is a
Robinson
good
now?
receiver.
He's not.
Alan Robinson's a good receiver.
How old is he,
They can't get the ball
27,
to him.
28, I think.
Alan
Yeah.
Robinson is not a good wide
He,
receiver.
what he wants
Yes,
is a
he is.
1 year deal back at the Jags, being thrown to by Trevor Lawrence and see what happens. He is a good receiver,
He's
but
not.
he's had some pap quarterbacks.
He's 28. He's a terrible quarterback.
If he could get a prove-it deal at somewhere like the Chargers, replacing Mike
Yeah.
Williams, I don't think you'd then miss Mike Williams.
Cardinals could do with another wide receiver as well.
Yep. Raiders.
Well,
So-
you wait until Jarvis Landry leaves the Browns and then look at the Browns
Well,
wide
did you see
receiver
that on
core.
Twitter today? It's
Yeah.
all kicking off, wasn't it?
Well, he's saying he wants one more year at the.
At the Browns.
They
Browns.
desperately need him. Their wide receiver core is
Yeah.
nothing.
I mean,
But
they
as
could
well,
go for
he
Alan
did
Robinson.
say in what is a general feeling for the Browns, he came back from injury too early and
Yeah.
had his season compromised
And I
because
can well believe it.
they played him injured. Who'd have thought the Browns would do that?
Who would be their number one receiver if Jarvis leaves now?
Peoples Jones.
Yes, DPJ.
Because it can't be Njoku, the tight end. He's a free agent.
He's also gone, yeah.
Super Bowl attending Jesse Bates, Bengals safety.
He got an interception.
I know he attended the Super Bowl. He didn't win it. He's not like C.J. Anderson, who is a Super Bowl winning.
He's getting tagged.
Yeah, he's getting tagged. I only bring it's offensive line. Ryan Jensen, the center from the Bucks. He's a free agent. I bring it up because in the last year we've had Corey Lindsey and Frank Ragnow get record deals for centers.
I think he'll get paid.
I think he'll get paid to stay there, yeah. I do. I don't know what they're going to do about quarterback. I saw this week them saying about Blaine Gabbert's going to get the starting role. Man, imagine if you went from Tom Brady to Blaine Gabbert.
This is the Bucks, though. The Bucks were terrible
I know,
for ages.
yeah, they were.
And they came
They were
from
the
nowhere
Yucks, weren't they?
to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like they've got 5 years of grace from those fans. They can do what the hell they
But
like.
Blaine Gabbert.
And
They'd be better off with you under centre.
I don't know that they would.
Literally, if the season started tomorrow, two of the playoff teams would be starting Blaine Gabbert and Mason Rudolph. That's just scary, isn't it? From the Cowboys, edge rusher, and I like his name, Randy Gregory.
He's gone.
He's gone. Yep. Diminishing returns here. Sticking with the Bucks, Carlton Davis, cornerback.
Nah, it's too much money to pay for a cornerback who's not
he'll
your
go.
number one cornerback.
Yep. Big name here, Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger.
I think he'll stay.
I think they should try and keep him.
I think they should try and keep him. I don't see him staying.
I wonder whether his best days are behind him. He's on the downswing.
I think he's quite keen to stay. I think there's a deal to be done there.
I think they should keep him. I don't think they'll want to pay him. I think he might get money elsewhere from a bad franchise.
I think I'm not sure he's bothered.
He's won his Super Bowl.
Yeah, and he's got his money. So mate, there is a deal to be done, but it needs to be done on the basis that you're never going to get a 16-game season out of him, or 17-game season, out of him, and he isn't the player he was 5 years ago.
Yep.
I could see him going somewhere like the Ravens.
I was going to say the same thing. But yeah, we'll see. Back to the offensive line. Brandon Scherf, the guard for the Commanders. Anyone got any opinions about Brandon Scherf?
Now, I've got some opinions about the name of the team.
It's fucking rubbish still, isn't it?
Absolutely awful.
I mean, it has only been 2 weeks, but
No.
it hasn't. It's not like it's grown on me.
The Red Pandas should try and keep Scherf.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying.
Hogs, red hogs.
The commies. I like the commies.
Do you?
2 players here.
No Ukrainian in you at
I was
all,
going to
is there?
say, you're planning on joining the invasion force, are you? Or?
Side.
So we mentioned them earlier: Von Miller and Adele Beckham Jr. for
I
the
don't
Rams.
think either of them get tagged because that's too expensive.
I don't think they
You're
get
not
tagged.
going to tag Beckham, are you?
Well,
Unless,
no,
you,
exactly.
unless you're working in
I
the
think
local
Beckham
hospital.
will be back on another 1-year deal
Yeah.
because of the
I think
injury.
they'll both be on 1-year
You
deals.
don't reckon Von Miller will retire? I think it's not being talked about, but I think there's a chance he retires.
I think if Donald's back, Von Miller's back.
The tight end club now here. We have Mike Gesicki.
I'm sorry, what did you just call that?
The tight end
The
club.
tight end club. Isn't that where Deshaun Watson was going?
Allegedly.
You can't call it that. Pick a different name.
Okay. The tight end boys. Mike Gesicki from the Dolphins. Dalton Schultz from the Cowboys. David Njoku from the Browns.
All three teams need to keep those players if they can. I think Njoku might be allowed to walk because he suffered with injuries.
Yep, agreed.
I think the other two
Get paid.
nailed on to stay.
Cool. Melvin Ingram from the Chargers.
Goes.
I say
They won't
goes.
pay him.
Isn't he at the Steelers now?
He's already
Yeah,
gone,
he's already
hasn't
He's gone.
He's left.
Yeah.
Steelers.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Come on now, John.
And final two. So, Cordell Patterson coming off
He'll get
a
paid.
year where he's...
he? He won't get tagged.
Have,
but
have
he'll
they
get
got
paid.
the money?
The Falcons.
Yeah, but-
No.
No, that's what I mean. Fuck me, you retreated quickly on that one. I don't have a
They
comeback.
don't need to find him that much, do it? Running back. 5 million, they'll find that. Easy.
What do you tag him as?
No,
You tag him,
he-
like-
5
I,
million.
s-
Don't tag him. You just pay him 5 million.
I think you pay him as well.
I see him in green at the Jets.
No way.
Uh,
No way. I think they'll just pay him. Like,
I see where you're going with it. In that the
He's-
offensive coordinator's has got a full-time in his background.
Cordero Patterson is currently worth more money than he's ever been worth.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he's just
He
had
has to test the
and
market.
He needs to try and get out of there.
well, I think if he goes somewhere else, he'll be shit again. So I think
Probably,
he should- I
but
think
he'll be rich and
He'll
shit.
be rich and
so-
shit. Whereas if he stays at the Falcons, he'll be
Still rich.
richish,
Yeah.
shitish.
Rich-ish.
I think
He won't get the deal he'll get somewhere else.
Well, I think the Falcons have to try and keep him without knowing what's happening with Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, I think that, but yeah,
Yeah, that's a good point.
it's the cap gymnastics. I don't think they can do.
They'll do it.
And
Gymnastics.
lastly, Juju.
Goes.
I think he goes.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, what
he
a
goes.
waste of
They-
fucking
they-
money.
What a waste!
He was
They
nothing.
always-
last
What a
year.
waste of a contract! Like he signed a
He
1
could have
year
been at the
deal.
Chiefs, couldn't he?
It could have been at the Chiefs for more money. But yeah, and now he's going to have to probably accept less money because he's come off a bad year with
He could
injury.
end up at the Jets.
Yeah, that's a very Jets thing to do.
Could be. We'll go tell you more about free agency and as it goes along. The draft is coming on the 28th of April. This year held in Las Vegas, delayed from 2020 when it was supposed to be in Vegas, but took place here on Zoom from Goodell's house. Just a quick one because we'll get into the draft as it gets closer. But Jim, who are the top prospects that we should be
I
looking
love the
out
way you
for?
only asked Jim. You know the rest of us. haven't
To be
got a
fair,
clue.
he did.
He sits around a desk job all day with nothing better to do than look at prospects.
That's what I do. I was sitting here watching video while you lot were nattering earlier. I think the thing to note this year is that there's no standout player. Like this draft has got a lot of good players.
It's going to be the 2013 draft all over
Yeah.
again.
There's a lot of good players.
EJ Manuel.
There aren't.
He was the only
many-
quarterback in the first round. It was
Yeah.
two tackles went in the first two picks.
Yeah, Eric Fisher and Luke Jokel,
Luke Jokel.
who's no longer in the league.
Ooh, how exciting.
There aren't many great players. There are no quarterbacks who would have got picked before any of the quarterbacks taken last year. There is probably still 4 quarterbacks that will go in the first round because quarterbacks go in the first round. You look like that, but Griff with his
That's
head
a
in his
terrible
hand.
waste of picks if anybody takes maybe other than one quarterback in the first round.
I
Somebody
agree.
always takes
Oh,
one.
no, I completely
But
agree.
4 out of this
I
lot.
think it could be 3 or 4. I think Malik Willis will go. I think Kenny Pickett.
Yes, he can.
Desmond Ridder. That's going to stick, isn't it?
Yeah, I hope so.
And I think one of Matt Castle, or not Matt Castle.
Matt Corral.
Matt Corral.
Castle.
Or
Not Matt Castle draft.
In all
It's
fairness, if
like-
Matt Castle was coming out in this draft, he'd be a first
He
round pick.
probably would be a first round
Fucking
pick
hell.
above some of these. Anyway, what this class is deep at is edge rusher. There are loads of them.
You're all over it.
I'm all over it. Two at the very top, Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon and Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan. Probably both go in the top three. The big question mark is at number one. Do the Jaguars go with a tackle and Evan Neal to protect Trevor Lawrence, or do they go for one of these edge rushers? There are literally loads of edge rushers, though. It is also deep at offensive tackle. I've mentioned Evan Neal out of Alabama, 6'7", something like 300 odd pounds. He's a man monster. But there's also Tyler Lidburn, the centre. Where's the Ecom Ikwonu? Not pronounced that right, out of NC State. All likely to go in the top 10. And then finally, wide receivers. Perry asked me about this on the car on the way up to the Super Bowl when I was half cut.
Yeah.
There's some good wide receivers.
There's no Jamar Chase in this draft.
There is not a Jamar Chase in this draft.
There's nearly a Stephen Chase in this draft. Is there? No, but I wish as good as.
There are some good wide receivers in this draft.
If he's going to get drunk and called Brady, whatever, then that's probably as close as we're going to get to someone being like Steve. But anyway,
at the draft,
yeah. But yeah,
FNC.
I mean, no. Literally, we mentioned Steve a lot for someone who no one here has only us know him. But yeah,
the mythical Chase.
Yeah,
I think he's been on the podcast once.
And
we did
but he didn't say anything.
The live thing with the Eagles pets. Super Bowl. Yeah. Anyway, good wide receivers. Drake London out of USC, 6'5", 210. He's probably going to be the top one. I really like Chris Olave out of Oregon. He's a lot like Michael Thomas, but there are others
Missing
in action.
Ouch. Painful. Jameson Williams, the wide receiver at Alabama, probably would go higher, but he tore up his ACL in the championship game.
We should talk about Michael Thomas, by the way. Does anyone think he's actually going to play for the Saints again?
No, I think he's gone.
I think he's gone. I don't know where.
Is he actually going to be the same player again?
Well, that's the
probably not. But I can't see that you can mend that relationship. I really, and I think Sean Payton might have been someone who would have tried. But
if the Jags could get him to go with Trevor Lawrence,
yeah, brilliant.
Yeah,
that
if he's any good still.
If he is fit,
you take a punt, wouldn't you?
If the Jags, you might as well pay him. The Jags have got.
We look at the teams. The teams with the most space.
Cap space.
Dolphins, Jags, Chargers, Bengals.
Let him teach Trevor Lawrence how to throw the ball to a wide receiver. This is where I want it. No, but seriously, it's a relationship, isn't it, between the two? And
it is.
I think that's money well spent.
My favourite nickname.
I've decided that they should do that.
My favourite nickname in the draft is cornerback Ahmed Sauce Gardner.
Sauce.
Nice. I like it.
Nice. There you go. Well, we'll get into the draft because we're going to learn even more names by the time Paul creates his picks.
Seriously, watch the video of Malik Willis. He's got skills.
Oh, sweet. Cool.
He can run.
And
he can throw it as well.
Before we go, let's mention home team. We watched that before the Super Bowl. The Sean Payton based film. It wasn't the worst thing we've ever seen.
I mean, it's not a serious football film.
It's like the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim or something, isn't it?
That's a good analogy. Yeah, Mighty Ducks.
Something like the Mighty Ducks.
So it's a great film if you're like 11 years old.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sean Payton is in it. We saw he turns up in one of the world's worst wigs
as a cleaner.
Spoiler alert.
At least we know he's got a job after leaving the Saints.
And praises the fictional Sean Payton for
Bounty game
coming back. It's a strange thing.
I've never been happier to miss out on 2 hours of TV.
It was fine. Honestly,
good entertainment.
It was more interesting than watching like people play Madden.
Yeah, all right, fine. I can grant you that, but
it's not as serious as I say. It's not a serious American football film.
Better or worse than the god awful Draft Day?
I like Draft Day.
Not a serious football film, though, is it? It's terrible in terms of football.
I mean, it's not very realistic.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
What about Mean Machine?
A female cap calculator. Come on, James. What year is this? Mean Machine was good.
Any Given Sunday was good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Remember the Titans.
They're more serious.
Remember the Titans.
So good.
If you haven't seen it, My All American is really good. About a safety from Texas, John Steinbeck, who he got cancer and he had his leg amputated. bit of a tearjerker in the end.
When we were talking about this during the film, I did remember the Titans. I got their name wrong as Clash of the Titans. Clash of the Titans is a very different film, which I also enjoyed.
Yeah.
Go Perseus.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. That's our recommendation. If you want to watch Home Team, instead watch Clash of the Titans.
Absolutely.
We'll be back throughout the off season because we're going to do some specials. But until then, it's a good night from us, and see you soon. Support for today's podcast was brought to you by manscaped.com. Get 20% off the performance package with the code THESNAP at manscaped.com. It's 20% off with the code THESNAP at manscaped.com.